Hello my dear friends and welcome back. This is where we stopped in the last video, and in this video we are going to continue creating our routes. So let's head back to our editor and we can toggle the terminal and we can toggle the sidebar. So let's look for API, and it's the API inside the routes folder. Here we can try to clean this file. We also don't need this file as much, but for now let's just leave it there. So we want to create the first two routes. So here we will have non-authenticated endpoints. So we have some of the non-authenticated endpoints. For example, the registration endpoint, we need someone to be able to register, and the login. When you're logging in, you're not authenticated. So let's go ahead and create those two routes first. First, we'll start with the registration route. So route and is the one from this one. So it's going to be a post route. Okay, it's going to be a post route, and we're going to call this route register user. Then the next argument we're going to pass to this route is the controller that we'll be using, and we'll be using the auth controller, the one that we created, this one here, auth controller. And we can decide to either give it a name or just leave it, because we are using API. But if you're writing this one in the web routes, so if you're writing this one in the web routes and you are using the Blade templating engine to get to your routes, you can pass the name. So let's just pass it, though not needed for the API. So I'm just going to call it the same as our route URL. So register user, like that. And now we can go back to our controller and try to see if our route will reach to this controller. So we can let's navigate to that controller, auth controller in the API here. And now let's create our method. So it's going to be a public method called register user, like that, just like the way we named our route here, register user. So we call it a register user, like that. So for now let's just return something and see if it will be returned back. So let's just echo hello from PI controller, like that. Now let's grab our method here, and we are going to launch Postman and try to test our routes here. So let's go ahead and create a new route, and it's type post, and it's local host, and don't forget to provide the port number. Then, and we also have to provide the to pass the API on the route like so, and let's pass authorization we don't have, so accept. It's a good practice every time I'm sending any post request to the backend API, I make it accept JSON application or application JSON. So because it's an API, so it expects a JSON from our front-end clients. And body, we are going to pass nothing, and you can see now we get a response saying hello from the API controller. So it means that we are hitting our register endpoint correctly. So let's go ahead and handle the registration of a new user in our system. So the way we are going to be building this, we are going to create a controller which will be very thin and a model that will be very fat. That means most of the functions or most of the methods that really create the user and interact with the user, we're going to create them on the user model and not here. So for us to be able to do that, let me create a property of this class, and I'm going to make a public property, and this property I'm just going to call it user, like so. And so after that, I'm going to create a constructor, and a constructor is just a method of a class that is called every time the class is instantiated. So public, and it will be a constructor construct, and this one is just going to run every time this class is created, so that it can create a new user, can create a new instance of our user. So to do this, to create the instance of the user, we can say this, and now this user, remember user is the property that we defined up here. So user will be equal to new user, and this new user refers to our model user, this one here. So if your IDE does not import it automatically, please make sure you import the user class on top of your file. So it's say use app models class user, and remember that there are some of the things that have changed in Laravel 8 that we didn't have in Laravel 7. For example, we did not have models inside their own folder, and also in the routes, this is not how we used to call controllers. If you remember, we used controllers inside the route itself, so we would chain the path to the controller here, then we put @, but now we have to import the controller as a class and use it inside here. So that's one thing that changed. And another thing that changed is the models folder. It wasn't there in the previous versions of Laravel, but in Laravel 8, it's now in the models are now inside their own folder. So you would want to import it by saying use app models, then the user class model. Okay, after that, we are going to receive a request. So here we'll get the request request and put in a request object like that. And now this request object is what we are going to pass to the function that we will create in the user model. So here I'm just going to remove this one, and I'm going to return this user, and on the user model we are going to create a function called register user. Register user, just like this one here. And this function will receive the user object that will be provided here. For example, if we pass data for the user like username, email, password, and user type to come as an object through the request, then we'll pass it down here. So we can just go ahead and pass it there. So after that, we can go to our user model and create this method. So let's go to the user, and you can create this. Sorry, you can create this method. Let's create them here. Public function user, and it gets we can call it user object. It receives the user object from the other method, and here I can just echo. Now I'll echo from user model. I'll echo hello from the user model, and when we go here and submit this one, we now see we are saying hello from the user model and not from the auth controller. So in this video, we are going to stop there. When we come back, we are going to now create the functionality to store a user in the database. Thank you very much for being with me in this video. See you in the next one.